You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Right, so I've got some of your messages that you have sent on the first issue that we discussed, but I'll be sharing them with the rest of the world very soon. I need to state once again that there's an initial report that many of us have seen, so any suggestion that there is no preliminary reports can't be correct. Now, I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Terkper, is former Minister of Finance, and joining us via Zoom is John Kuma. Dr. John Kuma is Deputy Minister of Finance. Thank you for joining us, John. Hello, John.
Yeah, thank you, Samson.
Great. And good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Right.
Good morning to your viewers.
Right. Okay. So let's begin. Some of us, we don't have an appreciation of all of these credit ratings and what they really mean for the economy. And the Ministry of Finance has been very unhappy about what Bloomberg, reported, and also what Fitch has done as to the ratings. So give us, some brief, simple understanding. What are we in for because of these ratings?
Yeah, thank you very much. The question is, what is the essence of the ratings? Mm-hmm. And to simplify, let me limit to two. There are about three which definitely affects us. The first one is the sovereign, that is Ghana itself. And the ratings for Fitch is A, B, and then it goes down. Like your scorecard, school scorecard or something, yeah. Mm. So, and then within the B, they have B positive, B negative. It's like getting B minus in your class, or it has a different connotation than B, just straight B, and so the lower you come, it means the less credible, if I may use it, you are in going to the financial markets. I'll come and explain that. To borrow. Okay. Now, so apart from the sovereign being rated, when we go to do a sovereign bond or borrow through the bond mechanism, which many people know as a sovereign bond, you go to New York Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange. The our stock exchange is small, but we do some of the trading also on the Ghana Stock Exchange. We started that, I believe, in 2014 or so. The bond itself is rated, and it's linked to the country's rating. So what does the rating mean? The rating means you have borrowed in the past. Are you capable of paying that loan you borrowed? Then it comes to, if you are having difficulty paying the interest and principal on the loan that you borrowed, the question arises, how confident are we, that when you borrow this time, it will not worsen the situation, you'll be able to pay, right? So these are the questions. Now,
on about 5 occasions, this country has been rated by Fitch with a B.
Yeah, we've always been B.
Right.
Yes.
So this is the first time since 2003, as we understand, that this country has been rated B minus.
No, we have had B minus before, but it's either B plus B minus positive, which means that even though you are low, there is optimism, based on measures that you have taken, that you will get out of your current situation. So to give you a typical example, when we started putting money into the sinking fund, because of the pressure of single spine and other, issues that was confronting us, Doomsaw and others, the ratings dropped. There is this typical of social media, you see the chart showing the precedents and, yeah. So it did drop, but then we started putting money because what the markets were concerned with is we were coming to borrow at the time. I'm giving a specific example. And they are seeing that by 2017, the bond that was issued under former President Kufuor would mature in 2017. So if it matures in 2017 and you are in the market 2014, 2015, with 2 or 3 years to go, and you are going to add to that debt, and you have not been paying principal, right? What is the assurance that when we give you the money, you'll be able to pay, add, let's say, another billion to 750 billion, 1.7 billion? You don't have a mechanism for paying down. So are you able to refinance? Are you able to convince the market that, yes, I don't have 750, but you permit me to reschedule it? Okay. We realized that wasn't going to work. This is the rationale for the sinking fund. So immediately we established a sinking fund, and they realized, that we had actually gone to the market, the secondary market, and bought down our bonds up to about 330 million, with 200 to go, and we had refinanced 250 already. They realized that we had a plan. So immediately, it didn't go down further to negative, but it started to stabilize around positive.
So the Bloomberg report said that, the country was facing a grave financial challenge.
Yeah.
Because investors were becoming impatient. It said, among other things, that our dollar bonds have slumped 10% in 10 days, moving deeper into distress territory.
Yes.
As investors judge that refinancing debts in the Eurobond market won't be an option when the Federal Reserve hikes rates and budget targets remain elusive. They spoke about they said the extra premium demanded on Ghana's sovereign dollar debt jumped on Wednesday to an average of 1,105 basis points from 683 basis points in September. What do all of this mean?
Well, Bloomberg, Moody's will come. Standard & Poor's will come. These are the three globally who are known and who use these global factors. For example, because inflation is high in the US and it's increasing in Europe, the central bank, just our central bank, normally they talk about inflation a lot, and then they base that on the rate which Bank of Ghana, the base rate which Bank of Ghana charges banks. It either raises it to lower inflation, or lowers it when inflation is going down. That is what's at play. But we are in those international markets to borrow. So Bloomberg is warning us that apart from the difficulty you have now, we know by now that we are using all our tax revenue basically to pay compensation and the interest on previous loans. What this means is that even the loan we borrowed previously, we are borrowing to refinance. So Bloomberg is saying if you are coming from this situation and then you are coming to the market to refinance, some of the old loans, right, then you are having difficulty because remember, we did not go to the market for the extra 2 billion, last year. Okay. We were supposed to borrow 5 billion because our situation was deteriorating and it's time for correction, but that's the way the markets interpret it. They think that because you are having difficulty borrowing, a good example is the zero coupon bond that we did. It was described as innovative and the rest, but the cost was expensive. For 500 million, which we were to receive, we received only 350 million approximately upfront, which means that we gave away 150 million. If you do a simple average, it means the interest Ghana was paying was about between 30 to 40%, depending on whether you are expressing it on the 350 or on the 550. So they are looking at this situation in which our budget is very tight, very, very tight. We are borrowing to service current loans, and therefore they are saying, is this bond? Bond is your loan is broken into pieces. and then it's sold. And the price is the interest rate that you pay. So people holding, when they say people are, people holding it, either would demand a higher price, right, when you come to the market, because it's risky, it's become risky. Or they will just shed it. And once they shed it, it means that everybody says there's a problem with this bond. And that is the days that they were, within a matter of weeks, we had all these slippages, that we had.
The finance minister met the press, and among other things, he said that the budget, the 2022 budget that he has presented, enables us to stabilize the economy and address the greatest challenges of our time. And that is the triple helix of debts, digital and fiscal infrastructure deficit, especially roads, and unemployment. Then he proceeds to give us an understanding of the fact that the current expenditure pattern, he says, is motivated by government's unwavering commitment to the sovereign rights of the people of Ghana to social justice and social mobility. Between 2017 and 2021, key expenditures have been education, approximately 50 billion Ghana cedis, health, approximately 20 billion Ghana cedis, security, approximately 20 billion, excluding national security. Other flagships or programs, he says, about 15 billion Ghana cedis. And of course, there is the Agenda 111 hospitals. If you look at all of this, he says they are still doing everything to keep, the ship stable. Would you agree with those who say the economy is heading to collapse? Like Professor Bokwin, who, was very straightforward in that kind of...
Not if we do not take remedial measures. Not if we do not take remedial measures. We are gradually going, and we have gone HIPIC before, right? So HIPIC is a good example for us, that if your borrowing becomes unsustainable. You see, the key word is sovereign rights, which we are also exercising in not going to the IMF, right? And we can discuss that later. Yes, you have your sovereign right, okay, but you are not able to finance your budget. So what is that sovereign right? And remember, it's your sovereign, as I explained, which is being rated. And you are in the markets. And the markets are losing confidence in the words that you are telling them. And they are saying, the IMF says, you are saying your loan is 77 or 79 or whatever. The IMF is saying it's 83 or 81 or 82. Fitch is saying it's 83. And that is because they are rejecting your method of excluding bailout costs and those things in calculating that, because all those are pressures for your borrowing. Now, yes, you have your sovereign right to do education. You have your sovereign right, to do all your government programs. But are you able to finance it yourself? And they are looking at your budget, which something I have here. By the time you are finished, your total revenue, even as projected, at 100 billion, which is supposed to increase by about 20 billion, which is significant, right? But we'll put that aside. By the time you have paid compensation, 64, and you have paid interest, you start borrowing. That's the red you see here. So, and much of what you are talking about, your sovereign right to do education, is in goods and services, right? Much of education is in goods and services. Education infrastructure, the roads you want to build and the arrears, they are in capital expenditure. And then you have arrears. And then you have exceptional expenditures, banking sector, because you have included the revenue here, includes ESLA and the rest, which was meant to pay for those things. So all the things I have mentioned now, apart from the two, you are borrowing. Is your market able to give you the money you need? Your market is small, right? To the extent that even when you issue a domestic bond, right? When you issue a domestic bond, which we started vigorously under my former boss, Dr. Dufo, right? Much of it is patronized or is bought by the same people who are buying our sovereign bond. So when they see that your economy is strong, you are able to finance, they come and buy. At the moment, they are not coming. That's what we mean when we talk about the expression non-residents exiting our markets. So they started exiting. And it's in the budget. Government itself has stated. Right? So what is your sovereign right what is the point in asserting your sovereign right when you are not capable of borrowing and you are going to the same people you are saying, I have a sovereign right to come to you and borrow? Why weren't you able to borrow last year? The additional 2 billion. Right? And what happened to, and in fact, if you look at the budget, the finances section, you will see that the rate at which we were borrowing government itself has lowered it. It's lower. So government is anticipating that it will have difficulty going to the external markets. So it is dependent. Now, when you come to the domestic market, Fitch is saying, wait a minute. Okay, how big is your domestic market? Right? Fine. Even if you are able to finance, it means that your private sector will be, what's the expression, crowded out. Because you are turning from the external market and coming to the domestic market. So it means you are not competing with your own firms, for credit on the domestic market. Your interest rate itself will go up domestically. And you have difficulty, as we had, and you have situations like Bank of Ghana coming in to give you 1.7 billion, more than even we got from the IMF. Yes, you can attribute it to COVID, but I always insist that the 2019 Article 4, right, 2019 Article 4, showed that we had a gap before COVID, right? My next point is, look, the market is not convinced about the methodologies that we are using. Offsets, as I said, bailout costs being put, in the bottom and the rest. But you see, they also have the right. You have your sovereign right, but they also have the right to say, we're also looking at your budget. And this is the way we are rating you. You see the point. And the markets, sorry, I'll just land. The markets are now looking more, those who are giving you the money, they are looking more at what Bloomberg is saying, what Fitch is saying, what Reuters is saying, and what IMF, World Bank, African Development Bank, who are all warning us that our debt is also sustainable.